With our gin, we're creating it in a really traditional style. So our gin is known as one shot, which effectively gives you a smoother gin. The palate doesn't have any burn in the aftertaste, it's really smooth. Alternatively to that, you have two shot gin. So two shot gin is what some of the bigger companies do. They do this to keep up with demand, so they'll make a concentrate, whereas some of the smaller distilleries, us, Sipsmith, we do one shot. And what's so special about the flavour profile on our gin? We use your classic gin botanicals that are in 90% of gins, obviously juniper, and then coriander seed and angelica root, which are really common. That 90% of gins have those three in. And then we also use licorice powder, which is 50 times sweeter than sugar, but it just carries flavour. And then we also use 3 types of fresh citrus peel, which give it a real freshness, and it adds to the uniqueness of our gin in theory. So we use fresh orange, fresh lemon, and fresh pink grapefruit. We serve 250 different brands and varieties of gin. So there are 4 different styles of gin that it's all broken down to. So you've got juniper flavoured spirit, so that would be Dutch style gins like Geneva. You've got gin/compound gin, where you add compounds to gin after distillation. So there's a style known as Old Tom gin, which is one of the original styles of gin, which is the addition of sugar, so it's sweeter. So this was created back in the late 1700s and 1800s to mask the poor quality of gin on the market. During that period of time known as the gin craze, people were going crazy because they didn't have the stills, the column still in particular, to take out the poisons. So all of the high levels of methanol, the copper, the sulfates, all of that sort of thing would send people crazy and it would kill them in theory. It would just destroy their health. So Old Tom masks that flavour of the poisons to make them palatable. Obviously then you had the next styles of gins that came in. So you had distilled gin and London Dry, and they're completely down to the fact that the column's still, so Old Tom sort of became defunct, and it led to those other 2 styles of gin. So with so many different brands and styles of gin available, the quintessential drink when you think of gin, and when you think of any cocktail, it doesn't matter whether it's a gin cocktail or not, but it just so happens to be that the cocktail that everyone thinks of is the martini. So I'm going to be making a martini for you today, and our take on a martini with our gin. So when you think of the martini, people think of the martini glass. It's a V-shaped glass, and it was said to be the 2 fingers up to prohibition, or the V for victory over prohibition. And it's the quintessential drink, so I can't really think of a better drink to illustrate gin than that. So for a classic martini, there's only really 2 ingredients. First and foremost, gin, most important ingredient of course, and secondly, vermouth. So French style vermouth of the dry variety is what's in your average martini. And the amounts of, it depends from person to person. It is truly a drink of true expression and freedom. Everyone will have a unique way of drinking their gin. And in particular, the martini really illustrates that. And then obviously on top of that, our take on the martini, which is the City of London Dry Gin, so the gin that's made right behind me. It's made with Mancino Bianco vermouth. So Mancino Bianco, it's not your classic French style of dry vermouth. It's actually an Italian vermouth, but it's a pale, sweet vermouth. And that works really well with the botanicals in our gin. And then it's finished with a grapefruit twist. So that pink grapefruit twist just works really well because obviously the botanical in our gin that's really important is the fresh pink grapefruit.